During the final months of World War I, Europe was exhausted. 4 years of trench warfare had turned fields into graveyards. Entire villages had disappeared. Millions were dead. And yet, the fighting continued. It was September 1918. On the Western Front near the French village of Marcoing, British forces were pushing forward against retreating German troops. Among them was a 27-year-old private named Henry Tandey. Tandey was not just another soldier. By this point, he had already earned multiple medals for bravery, including the Victoria Cross. He had survived the Somme. He had survived Ypres. He had seen more death than most men could bear. That day, smoke hung thick over the battlefield. The air smelled of mud, cordite, and burning timber. Gunfire echoed through shattered buildings. Tandey advanced cautiously through the ruins, and then he saw him. A wounded German soldier emerged from the smoke. He was unarmed, injured, struggling to move. For a split second, Tandey raised his rifle. He had every right to shoot. It was war. The man wore the enemy's uniform. But something stopped him. The German soldier looked directly at him. There was no weapon, no resistance, just exhaustion. Tandey hesitated. Instead of firing, he lowered his rifle. He allowed the wounded soldier to pass. The German nodded slightly, a silent gesture of thanks, and disappeared into the smoke. The moment lasted only seconds. Tandey moved on. The war continued. He never imagined that brief decision would become one of the most discussed what-if moments in modern history. Years later, in the 1930s, as tensions rose again in Europe, an unexpected connection surfaced. Adolf Hitler, now leader of Germany, reportedly claimed that a British soldier had spared his life during World War I. According to accounts shared later, Hitler said that soldier was Henry Tandey. It was said that Hitler had even kept a postcard reproduction of a painting depicting Tandey carrying a wounded comrade. He allegedly pointed to it and told visitors that the man in the painting had once had him in his sights and let him go. When this story reached Tandey, he was reportedly stunned. If true, it meant that the wounded German he had spared in 1918 had later become the architect of the Second World War. Historians still debate the full accuracy of the encounter. Some question whether the timelines align perfectly. Others argue that the story, while dramatic, cannot be fully verified. But what cannot be denied is this: Henry Tandey did spare a wounded enemy soldier that day. And Adolf Hitler did serve in that sector during that period. Whether or not the two men truly faced each other in that moment, the story captures something deeply human about war. Because in that split second, Henry Tandey made a choice. Not a strategic choice, not a political choice, a human choice. He chose not to kill a defenseless man. In war, soldiers are trained to see uniforms, not individuals. But sometimes, humanity breaks through. Tandey returned home after the war. He lived a quiet life. He worked in a factory. He rarely spoke about the battlefield. He had no way of knowing how history would unfold. When World War II erupted and Hitler's name became synonymous with destruction, people revisited the story. They asked the question that echoes even today. What if Tandey had pulled the trigger? Would history have changed? Would millions of lives have been different? It is a tempting thought. The idea that one bullet could have altered the course of the 20th century. But history is rarely that simple. In 1918, Henry Tandey was not facing a dictator. He was facing a wounded soldier. He did not see the future. He saw a man, and in that moment, he acted according to his conscience. War often strips away morality, reducing choices to survival. Yet even in the chaos of artillery and smoke, small decisions matter. Tandey's act reminds us that soldiers are not machines. They are human beings making impossible decisions under extreme pressure. Whether the German soldier was truly Hitler or not, the moral weight of the moment remains powerful. Because it forces us to confront uncomfortable questions. Is mercy weakness? Is compassion naive? Or is it the last defense of humanity in a world collapsing into violence? Henry Tandey never sought fame for that decision. In interviews later in life, he reportedly said that if he had known what the spared soldier would become, he might have acted differently. World War I ended just weeks later, but the consequences of its unresolved tensions would ignite an even greater conflict. The idea that one soldier may have unknowingly spared the life of a future dictator adds a haunting dimension to the story. It transforms a battlefield moment into a philosophical dilemma. Can one individual truly change history? Or does history move regardless of personal mercy? Henry Tandey's life ended quietly in 1977. He never became a political figure, never sought public glory for the story, but his name remains tied to one of the most debated encounters of the First World War. The story of the soldier who saved his enemy is not just about Hitler. It is about the fragile boundary between war and humanity. It is about how even in the darkest chapters of history, individuals still make personal moral choices. On that day in 1918, Henry Tandey could not see the future. He saw only a wounded man, and he chose not to fire. History would later judge the consequences. But in that moment, he acted as a human being, not as a symbol. And perhaps that is the most powerful part of the story. Because wars are written in numbers. But history is shaped by moments. And sometimes the smallest hesitation can echo for generations. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.